Get ready for a spine-chilling adventure. Join a fearless group of college friends, a couple lost in the wilderness, and a group of thrill seekers as they venture into the unknown and face the horrors that lie within. From the haunted mountain hut to the little girl in a bloody red dress in the dilapidated cabin shrouded in supernatural aura, each journey is more thrilling and terrifying than the last. Will they survive the malevolent wrath of the ghostly apparitions that haunt their every step? Or will they fall victim to the vengeful spirits seeking peace and revenge? Find out in this ultimate compilation. This is Daily Scary Stories. Like and subscribe for daily content. Possessed by Her. Once upon a time, a band of thrill seekers embarked on a hiking excursion to a remote mountain range, lured by rumors of a cursed path that led to an antique, dilapidated cabin. Despite the eerie forewarnings of the neighboring villages, the friends persisted in their quest for adventure. As they ventured deeper into the mountains, the air grew ever more frigid, and the whispers of an unseen entity began to echo through the winds. Suddenly, the cabin appeared before them, shrouded in a supernatural aura that seemed to keep all living creatures away. The very sight of it sent chills down their spines and made the hairs on their arms stand on end. Upon entering the cabin, they were met by a vengeful ghost of a woman who had met her end on the trail many years prior. Desperate to break free from her supernatural imprisonment, she set her sights on the friends, possessing their bodies one by one and using them to communicate her pleas. The friends soon found themselves consumed by fear as the ghost's presence grew more intense and her presence became more malevolent. Her ghostly form would materialize before them, her eyes alight with hatred, her voice growing louder with each passing moment. The friends struggled to hold on to their sanity as the ghost's power over them grew. With each possession, their bodies began to change, their skin growing colder, their eyes turning black. The ghost's influence was taking control of their very being, causing them to stumble along the trail, her will directing their movements, her thoughts controlling their own. As the friends tried to escape the ghost's grasp, they were haunted by visions of the past, showing them glimpses of the events that led to her death. They were plagued by intense nightmares, with the ghost appearing to them in their sleep, taunting them with cryptic messages. Despite their fear, they pressed on, piecing together the puzzle of her death and the events that had led to her possession. One day, they stumble upon an old journal in the cabin, filled with the musings of the hermit who had lived there for many years. The journal revealed the shocking truth behind the ghost's death and the events that followed. The friends realized that the only way to break free from the ghost's possession was to uncover the mystery behind her death and lie her spirit to rest. Determined to escape, the friends delved into the past, unearthing dark secrets and confronting the truth about her death. But as they drew closer to the truth, the ghost's wrath only grew stronger, threatening to consume them completely. The friends soon discovered that the ghost was not a woman, but a man who had taken the life of his wife in a fit of jealousy. The wife's spirit had been seeking revenge on her murderous ghost and was using the friends as pawns in her quest for peace. But their battle was far from over, as the friends soon realized that the malevolent ghost was still present and working to keep his dark secret hidden. He manipulated their thoughts and fears, causing them to turn on each other, trapping them in a dangerous game of cat and mouse. To their horror, they soon uncovered the truth about the cabin. It was not abandoned, but inhabited by a reclusive hermit who had been keeping the truth about the mass murder-suicide that had taken place there hidden for years. The hermit was in league with the malevolent ghost, luring travelers to the mountain to add to the haunting spirits that linger there. The friends were never seen or heard from again, lost to the haunted mountain and the vengeful ghost that claimed them as her own. The remote mountain range was forever known as the place where the dead returned to torment the living, and the abandoned cabin was forever cursed, a constant reminder of the tragedy that had taken place. To this day, whispers of the ghost's presence can still be heard on quiet nights, beckoning the unwary to their doom. Those who dare to enter the cabin never return, forever trapped in the ghost's supernatural grasp, a permanent part of their possession. Little Girl in Red. The couple Sarah and Tom were avid hikers and had always dreamt of exploring Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world. They had prepared for months, gathering information and training for the grueling climb. However, when they reached the base of the mountain, they felt a sense of disappointment. They had heard so much about the beauty and majesty of the mountain, but all they saw were throngs of tourists and commercial expeditions, each one more organized and homogenized than the next. So they decided to take a different approach and ventured into the forbidden wilderness. They camped in a nowhere forest and took in the peaceful silence of the surrounding nature. It was just what they had been looking for, a chance to escape the world and find adventure on their own terms. Their once peaceful hike took a haunting turn when Tom spoke of a mysterious little girl dressed in a blood-red frock. Sarah was unfamiliar with the child, yet Tom insisted she was their daughter, vowing to bring her back home. The more Tom fixated on the girl, the deeper he descended into madness. Sarah's unease turned to terror as they ventured deeper into the forbidden wilderness. With each step, the sinister signs of the little girl in the bloody red dress grew more pronounced. The once tranquil environment was now tainted with fresh smears of blood and ghostly whispers that echoed through the wilderness. Tom, consumed by his obsession to find the mysterious child, refused to turn back and dismissed Sarah's pleas for caution. The once peaceful hike had now devolved into a harrowing pursuit of the unknown, and Sarah was powerless to stop it. The atmosphere grew heavy with an otherworldly presence, leaving Sarah to wonder if they would ever escape the curse of the girl in the red dress. Sarah bolted upright as Tom's blood-curdling screams filled the air. She stumbled over to him, her heart racing with fear. When she reached his side, she saw that his eyes were wild with terror, and he was muttering incoherently about the little girl in the red dress. With a growing sense of dread, Sarah realized that something was horribly wrong. She tried to wake Tom, but he was thrashing violently and wouldn't respond to her touch. Suddenly, she saw a flash of metal in the moonlight and realized with horror that Tom was clutching a bloody knife. Sarah's mind raced as she realized what was happening. She backed away from Tom, her hands shaking with fear. But Tom was beyond rational thought, his gaze fixed on Sarah as he raised the knife, ready to strike. In a split second, Sarah made a decision. She darted away from Tom, grabbed a nearby rock, and shattered the tent zipper, trapping Tom inside. She didn't stop to think about what she was doing. She just ran as fast as she could, her heart pounding in her chest. She ran until she was far away from the campsite, and then collapsed in exhaustion, gasping for breath. She had no idea what she was going to do. She was lost and alone in the middle of the forbidden wilderness, but at least she was safe, for now. The next day, Sarah awoke to find Tom's twisted expression from the night before had transformed into a maniac grin. They set out on their hike, but the haunting atmosphere had only intensified. With each step, Sarah felt as if they were being watched by unseen eyes. and she couldn't shake the feeling of dread that had taken hold of her. As they continued on their journey, Tom's demeanor worsened. He became increasingly erratic, speaking in hushed whispers to the air and casting wild glances over his shoulder. Sarah tried to reach out to him, to bring him back to reality, but he was consumed by his obsession with the little girl in the red dress. The horror was palpable as the little girl emerged before them, her haunting presence commanding their attention. Her red, stained dress only heightened the fear that had been building inside Sarah. She watched in terror as Tom sprinted towards the little girl, his eyes fixated on her. But as he reached out to touch her, she vanished into the emptiness, leaving nothing but the aura of terror that surrounded her. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine as she realized they were truly cursed by the little girl in the bloody red dress. Tom was inconsolable, and Sarah was at a loss for what to do. They continued their hike, but the little girl seemed to follow them, taunting them with her presence. And wherever they went, there was blood left behind. Tom's descent into madness was rapid and unstoppable. He became a violent, ranting lunatic, and Sarah was barely able to keep him at bay. She was constantly on edge, never sure when he would turn on her with the knife he now carried at all times. The little girl in the red dress seemed to be egging him on, her sinister presence growing stronger with each passing day. Sarah knew that she was in grave danger, and she was haunted by the thought that she might not make it out of the forbidden wilderness alive. One night, as Sarah was trying to sleep, Tom appeared at her tent, his eyes wild with madness and the knife in his hand glinting in the moonlight. He lunged at her, shouting that she was the little girl in the red dress and that he needed to protect her from the evil forces that threatened them. Sarah tried to run, but Tom was too fast. He caught her, and in his crazed state, he voraciously and lunatically murdered her out of his misguided love for the little girl. The blood stained the ground as Tom stood there, smiling in triumph, believing that he had finally saved the little girl from harm. With Sarah's lifeless body in his arms, Tom disappeared into the night, following the ghostly presence of the little girl in the red dress deep into the heart of Mount Everest. The heavy snow descended upon him, burying him in an ocean of white. The moonlight struggled to penetrate the dense clouds, casting everything in an eerie, flickering half-light. The wind howled and moaned, a mournful wail that seemed to portend of some unspeakable horror yet to come. Tom was completely consumed by his madness, driven to the brink of his love for the little girl in the red dress and the horrors that he had seen. As he stumbled deeper into the snowstorm, he was completely unaware of the otherworldly forces that were gathering around him, eager to claim his soul. The rumors began to spread soon after Tom and Sarah's disappearance. Some claimed to have seen his ghostly figure wandering aimlessly through the blizzard, his eyes empty and his mouth wide open in a silent scream. Others whispered that he had taken his own life, unable to bear the weight of his guilt and the horrors that he had witnessed. But no one ever found their body, and the truth of what happened to Tom and Sarah remained a mystery. The heavy snow continued to fall, burying the dark secrets of the forest and the madness that had consumed Tom. The wind howled, a mournful reminder of the tragedy that had taken place, and the legends of the little girl in the red dress and the madness she brought to those who followed her grew stronger with each passing year. It is said that if you're picked by her, there is no way out under her curse. The Haunted Mountain Hut. Once upon a time, a fearless group of college friends embarked on a thrilling journey to explore the unknown. Fueled by their thirst for adventure, they constantly sought out new and daring challenges to conquer. So when they heard of the notorious mountain hut, located on a notorious hiking trail, they couldn't resist the allure of the unknown. The tales of the mountain hut were blood-curdling, of a ghoulish young woman with a pallid skin who claimed the same sleeping spot in the hut as her own. Whomever dared to disturb her eternal slumber would face a fate more terrifying than death itself. The group of college friends, driven by a thirst for adventure, eagerly dared each other to spend a night in the cursed hut, knowing full well the consequences. The legends whispered ominously of those who had dared to take the ghost's place. Madness and sickness would grip their minds and bodies before ultimately meeting their end in a brutal and gruesome death in the unforgiving mountain wilderness. The first to accept the dare was the fearless Jack. He was filled with bravado and determination to show his bravery to his friends. Upon entering the hut, Jack's eyes fell upon the infamous spot where the ghost of the young pale woman was set to rest. Without hesitation, he claimed the spot for himself. But it wasn't long before Jack's fate took a dark turn. The illness and madness took hold of Jack, twisting his once rational mind into a crazed and dangerous state. His muttered rants grew louder, his movements more frenzied. And then, in a flash of unbridled violence, Jack viciously pushed his friend Tom off a cliff, ending his life with a savage blow. The rest of the group was shocked and terrified by Jack's actions, but they didn't know what had really happened. One night, while they were all staying in the hut, one of the girls in the group, Sarah, was possessed by the pale female ghost. She became a completely different person and started to harm the others in a ferocious way that no one could have ever imagined. Sarah's eyes glowed with an otherworldly gleam as she was taken over by the vengeful spirit. With a sadistic glee, she inflicted unspeakable horrors upon her friends, displaying an inhuman strength and cunning. The once lively and carefree group was now trapped in a nightmare, fighting for their lives against an implacable and malevolent force. The group was in a desperate struggle as Sarah, under the control of the evil ghost, lit the hut on fire. Emma was tragically trapped inside with Sarah, and the rest of the group tried desperately to rescue her. But as the fire raged on, the hut was consumed in an inferno that took the lives of their two friends in a gruesome and devastating manner. The group watched in horror as the hut burned to the ground, unable to save their friends and forever haunted by the memory of the tragedy that occurred within its walls. As tales of the haunted mountain hut and its pale female ghost spread, rumors began to swirl of the ghost's malevolent powers. Hikers would often return from their trips with chilling stories of being stalked by the ghost and experiencing otherworldly occurrences in the hut. Despite the danger, the hut remained standing, unscathed by the fire that claimed the lives of Sarah and Emma, as if it were protected by the ghost's otherworldly energy. To this day, thrill seekers still dare to embark on the treacherous journey to the hut, braving the dark and eerie mountain trails in search of the ghostly figure of a pale woman who is said to haunt the haunted structure, bringing terror and mayhem to all who cross her path.